𝗙cie𝗰𝗹. Also joining us is our DSWD Field Office 7 Regional Director, Director 𝗘𝘅𝗲𝗰𝗋𝗀𝗀. Kasama din po natin ngayon ang ating DSWD Undersecretary for Operations Group, Yusek Monina Josefina Romualdez.
Was the launch of community development. 𝗙cie is meaning that people know that community platform from community development. Over the years, 𝗙cie has brought much development for soft projects from poorest municipalities. And this year, the last year of 𝗙cie, so that was the first thing we did. We launched the people book to commemorate the whole program. The community-driven development all about community empowerment, making communities choose the type of projects they think their communities need, them procuring it, building it, and then later on partnering with local government units, operate and maintain it. So this is the community-driven development model. Now, I said last year because it's already 20 years in the running. 9,000 projects nationwide. These projects are micro in nature. They're small but very impactful. Hanging bridges that will connect communities to schools, water systems to the farthest area, so community daycare centers, small micro projects that people use every day. Now that was the first part. The second is for us not to be sad kasi it's the last year pero we're opening the next chapter of it. It's called PAGKILOS. Now, PAGKILOS employs the same mechanism, which is the community-driven development, where again communities identify the project. After they identify it, they build it themselves, maintain it, and operate it. Now, what's the difference? It still targets the poorest, farthest communities, 5th class, 4th class, 3rd class municipalities, but at this time, their projects will take into account community resilience in the face of climate change and all these natural disasters. Gusto natin na naunawaan nila paano magplano ng mga proyekto na angkop sa papalit ng klima at itong mga natural disasters na hinaharap natin so that their communities become resilient. So the project menu is still the same. Hindi kami ang pipili. May negative list lang like bawal bumili ng sasakyan. But when they do choose a project, let's say a water system for instance, we want them to understand is where to build this properly, how to build it properly in light of climate change. Diba? If they're building a hanging bridge, they also have to think, what are they building something that is climate change resilient? So yun yung added layer. Now when we target, like I said, poverty incidence is looked into, resilience, their risk, vulnerability to climate change, and last, the presence of indigenous people. The reason why indigenous people is because most often, these are the communities that we don't listen to or hindi natin naririnig. So it's time to bring them to the planning table. So yun, that's what we did. So any questions?
How did this project contribute to transparency and project management as far as corruption is concerned?
So let's talk about the benefits of it, the impact, the positive impact. You already said transparency. So it's one, empowering the communities kasi sila ang pumipili ng proyekto na angkop sa kanilang komunidad. It employs a bottom-top approach rather than a top-to-bottom approach. Diba? This emanates from the communities that's funded, yung ideas nila are funded, rather than the national government funding it. Second, it brings in development. Malalayong lugar to, liblib ng mga pook to. If we do not use this development platform, baka sila hindi napapansin kasi so far from city centers. Ito yung mga marami sa kanila nasa geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas, mountains, islands. Three, it's transparent because again, the procurement is done by the community itself. It's not the national government. It's not government. We capacitate them, they choose, they procure, they build, and then they operate and maintain. Later, Attorney BM can give you fact sheets, yung comparative cost of the projects that they build vis-a-vis what if it's not government building it. I'm not saying government is expensive because may corruption, but ito kasi very efficient yung modality niya. It employs a community procurement mechanism. So we'll give you roads per kilometer magkano ang cost versus them doing CDB versus the traditional mechanism. So it's empowering. It brings development to much needed much needed development in far-flung areas, and it employs a more efficient process of government spending. Any other questions?
Resilient investments. Aside doon sa parang
open menu siya. The beauty here is kasi you want the community to identify. You don't tell them hanggang dito ka lang. Baliktad, we give them a negative list. Diba? Bawal yung bumili na sasakyan, for instance. Huwag naman yun. Kasi obviously, that's self-benefiting. Ano pa yung mga negative? Bawal bumili ng lupa. Diba? Kasi how do you flip that around kagad to a project sub-project that everybody will benefit from? So rather than us telling you what you can do, basically what we're telling you is everything's open except the following. So ang mga projects na normally, we can also give you a list of the top 10 projects. Normally it's water system, community lighting, post-harvest food security, facilities, daycare centers, bridges, hanging bridges. Sabi ulit ko, these projects are no more than 5 million di ba? No more than 5 million. So these are micro in nature. Otherwise, hindi mapapansin to ng pamalang national kasi maliliit sila. But maliliit sila pero araw-araw ginagamit kaya napaka-impactful sa mga komunidad. Well, alam nyo, nung plinan to, sabi namin hindi pwedeng laging nasa Maynila kasi we're talking about countryside development here. So we try to bring our launches to areas where regional siya pero marami kaming beneficiaries doon. But more importantly, it became so timely because Cebu suddenly became the epicenter or the focal area, sadly, of natural disasters. So it's time that it became quite timely na nagkataon na may tinamaan ng earthquake and bagyo. Actually, the whole Visayas region and Mindanao region. So, but more than anything, it's the symbolism of bringing the project that is meant for the countryside should be launched in the countryside.
Any more question? Okay.
Na-mention niyo po kanina yung mga from 5th to 3rd municipalities, di ba? Yung mga municipalities na nagkaroon ng calamities lately, mabibigyan ba sila ng higher priority for the ano?
Well, we have to remember the targets are pre-identified and chances are nandun na sila because their risk vulnerabilities are quite high. So if you do a cross-tabulation, malamang it's the same. We're sure it's pretty much the same municipalities kasi early on pa nga na-target na sila because alam namin mataas yung, halimbawa they're located in typhoon belts. Diba? Yan yung primary driver, the exposure to and vulnerabilities to risk. So we can do a cross-tabulation, you'll also see na it's the same na tinamanin. Whether we like it or not, we also have to understand that disasters kasi, if you're so prone to it, the poverty incidence relatively goes up with it. Kasi disaster means more people being brought back to poverty or setbacks are greater.
follow-up lang, Secretary. Sa mga video kasi na pinakita kanina, ang daming success stories. For 20 years, nabago ang buhay, nagkaroon ng nabago yung pagkatao. Ano po ba yung mga balakid along the way, kung meron?
Challenges. Well, alam nyo, siyempre, the biggest balakid pa rin is the limited resources. Kahit na kahit na 56 billion spread across 3 years, divided by 500 municipalities, maliit yun, diba? Pero kami, we always say na hindi naman sa palakihan ng programa. Ang importante is the program should be matched rightfully to what the community needs. So the challenge remains pa rin access to capital. And this is giving the countryside, the poorer communities, access to much needed development capital. It's a and you can quote me on this, it's an innovative way of spreading government resources. Diba? Na rather than saturation in highly urbanized areas or in areas na pinupunta ng maraming tao, ito, we're spreading the resources of government sa mga pinakamahirap, pinakamalalayo, at pinakamaliliit at liblib ng mga LGUs.
We have another question here from Sunstar Cebu.
I have a question, sir. How will the DSWD ensure that LGUs with limited resources can effectively implement the PCRP program?
Let's not underestimate our LGUs. They can. 20 years of success in partnering with them is the track record. You have to remember, ang pinoprovide lang ng LGUs dito is 20% of the equity. Meaning, we provide the 70%, the counterparting is 20%. Binaba na namin yun, dati 30% yun. And that counterparting can come in form of sweat. Meaning, hindi kailangan cash. Pwedeng free labor, which nangyayari sa iba, the lending of office space in the barangay hall. So, hindi namin, ibig sabihin yung counterparting, to be able to access this, is not about cash. It's about using creatively whatever resources you have, whether it's manpower, technical know-how para matulungan yung community using your municipal engineer. So kaya nila. Kaya like I said, let's not underestimate our LGUs because it's not all about cash. Other LGUs have built-in capacities na pwede natin matap. Like may municipal engineer, then that's already enough as a counterparting.
Regions po ba na nakapokus na nakatilis?
Well, we don't look at it at regions. We look at it nga, like I said, poverty incidents, risk vulnerability to susceptibility to climate change, and the presence of indigenous people. Just as a point of reference, sa Region 742, LGUs ang makikinabang out of the 500. So it's not regional lang tingin namin, it's again micro, mas granular siya, municipality. Marami? What do you mean? Hindi, kasama yun eh. When you cross-tabulate it, you look at their poverty, you look at their vulnerability, then you look at the presence of IP, then you get a score. Diba? So chances are really it's in the farthest from the city centers.
Okay, thank you, Sec. Next, we have a question from GMA, DYSS.
Good morning, Secretary. Secretary, yung 56 billion pesos is same po ba din yan? Yan po ba yung budget for Philippine Community Resilience Project?
Yan yun.
Yan, 56. Yung question ko is,
it's an ODA spread across 3 years.
Okay. Nakita namin yung gallery hall. Napakaganda po ng mga pagkagawa ng classrooms. 1 million is malaki na talaga. Nakita namin dun sa labas. Yung Senate kasi is parang nananawagan ng
to look into different modalities of construction. Yes, in fact, next week I've been invited but on a different topic, which is food security. We will also present, if I get a chance, I'll talk on the side to Senator Bam, who's the main author of that law, to also show him that there is a modality like this that can be explored in expanding the classroom footprints nationwide.
So open yung DSWD.
Open, and more than anything, hindi naman kami ang nag-execute ito. It's a community eh. Pero siyempre ayaw nga namin diktahan yung komunidad na classroom ang kailangan nyo. We let them choose eh. We empower them to choose. If they say that it's water system that they need, hindi namin sila pwede ikahon na classroom ang gawin nyo. Diba?
Pero in terms of budget, talagang gagaan sa ibang mga priority projects if yung classroom budget is manggagaling sa
Gagaan for anything, whether it's NIA, whether it's national electrification, but depende talaga sa community, ano yung pangangailangan nila. Again, this is not top to bottom, this is a bottom to top approach.
Thank you, Secretary.
Okay, next we have here from SMNI to ask question.
Secretary, good morning. Ano po maging malinaw na papel ng ating mga mayors since we are...
Alam nyo, ako naging mayor ako for 9 years. The community mobilization really takes place on the ground, but hindi mo pwedeng i-etsepwera yung mga local government units. Kasi sila nga yung pupuntahan ng mga people's organizations in terms of the sweat equity or the counterparting. Masyado mabigat yun pag sa komunidad mo lang hihingin lahat yun. Number two, when we finish a sub-project, who will operate it and sustain it? It will be the local government units. Kaya importante na may tayarin sila. Maganda pag yung sweat equity or yung counterparting manggaling sa kanila para may taya sila na alagaan yun. And our projects, diba, I will give you the data after monitoring close to 98% of our projects are still standing. Kasi sustainable sila, diba? So that's the taya ng mga local government units.
Meron pa bang mga tanong?
I guess that's it. In closing, pag pinapakilala ko lagi, it's always the Secretary of Social Welfare. Nakakalimutan niyo may apelido kami. It's Social Welfare and Development. People get so... Importante naman ang social welfare, but doon natutuon yung attention kadalasan, ayuda. Pero meron kaming development programs like this that aims to pull people and communities out of poverty in the long run. Lagi kasi natanong puro ayuda ba? Hindi po. Sa administrasyon ng ating Pangulo, Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., napaka-importante ng long-term solutions to poverty. And kung hindi natin ma-address itong mga micro sub-projects, hindi sila matutunan ng pagpansin, hindi natin mabadala yung development sa countryside at sa mga liblib na pook. I've been to a lot of these community sub-projects. What may look like a small hanging bridge to you can change lives. When children don't have to cross running rivers just to get to school, that changes lives. And that is development. Now, there are so many studies that show that the lack of these small, what may be small to us, small infrastructure, parang negligible sa atin, pero it actually change the efficiency coefficient niya. Mataas kasi araw-araw siya ginagamit. Araw-araw siya tawiran, araw-araw siya pag-iigiban, araw-araw siya na nagde-deliver ng ilaw. So this is the time na, alam ko nga, boring yung top kasi development, diba? It's very technical, community-driven development, empowering. It's not the type na, sanay ako pag pumunta dito, mga tanong niyo sa akin, magkano ang ayuda ang ibibigay natin? Diba? Tama naman yun. Big chunk ng role namin yun. Immediate relief and assistance to our citizenry when they need it the most. Pero gusto namin, kahit boring tong topic na to, gusto namin i-celebrate siya kasi this is the development side of our department. And this is the instruction of the President. Short-term ang ayuda, maitawid lang ang taong bayan, pero long-term yung mga development programs like this. So thank you for covering it. Sana hindi makat ng mga editor nyo kasi na makakatulog ka talaga pag pinag-usapan natin to. So sana ma-feature nyo pa rin kasi it may not be as sexy as ayuda, but it's equally as important in the long run. Yeah. Well, alam nyo, ako, I'm not bothered by it kasi nasagot na naman lahat, diba? Pero isa lang naman ang direktiba ng Pangulo sa akin. Siguraduhin natin na yung trabaho nagtutuloy-tuloy, lalong-lalo na sa larangan ng disaster response. Pasensya na, bumalik ako sa ibang topic, disaster response, kasi we know for a fact that now almost 13 of our 18 regions have been hit by some type of disaster or affected by some type of disaster. Nando na bagyo, nasundan ng Opong, nasundan ng Ramil. This hit the country in different parts. Then nagkaroon ng dalawang earthquake, tapos ngayon nagkaroon ng Yuan at Tino. So, ang top of mind ng Pangulo sa amin pag nag-uusap kami, it's not the political noise, but rather how to get relief to our people that need it the most. So ang utos ng ating Pangulo sa amin sa DSWD, kailangan magpasko yung mga kababayan natin na apektuhan ng mga bagyo ng mas komportable than what they have right now. Yep. It's not for me to recommend to them, But what I can tell you though is the President knows this modality very well. In fact, I'm due to see him about trying to find ways to expand it. Whether like you said, baka sa edukasyon or sa iba-ibang larangan, kabisado niya to kasi nag-implement siya nito nung governor siya eh. He knows this very well. 20 years na yung programa eh. He knows this very well. So, nung nag-visit nga kami sa Butuan, a neighboring town ng Butuan, I forgot the name of the town eh. Libertad ba? Santiago. It was a small daycare center na tinuno talaga ng Pangulo. Maliit pa yung daycare center. Kasi laki nitong kwarto, mas maliit pa eh. He went there because he wanted to see the effect. And then after that, he said nga, for me to report to him, at tinanong niya ma'am, explain to him again the impact, the positive impact, and how we can scale it up. So, importante sa kanya yung development eh. More than anything that you read now in the newspaper, we have to make space for what we are here really to do. Uplift lives, change people's lives in the long run.
Okay, thank you very much, Secretary Rex Gatchalian, and to all our DSWD officials. We thank you also to all our media friends. Thank you for joining us today. So let's have a quick photo op lang po. Tayo lang po ang ating mga DSWD officials para sa picture taking. And maraming salamat po sa lahat ng mga nandito ngayon in joining us sa ating press conference. Thank you very much.
Photo op lang po tayo. Picture na lang.